So, animal rights, okay? Why is it that I fight veganism, and why is it that I'm making this video? Because I've already made an anti-vegan video, which is more so just an anti-diet, anti-religion video. Why is it that I fight, or supposedly fight veganism? I don't intend to. Well, it's because I fight all diets. I fight all ways that restrict people's eating or thinking into certain confinements where they cannot listen to themselves, their own environments, and make up their own mind. That is the issue for me in particular. Okay, and not only that, but natural health as a whole, right, as a whole topic, is not only about diets. In fact, diets are so restricted. If we are to make natural health all about diets, then we're restricting health in its totality. And no, diet is not the only thing that's important. Of course, I go over everything in my video that says veganism is unnatural and immoral. It goes over everything because it's a 1 hour and 30-minute script. It goes over a lot of things, and I don't need to really repeat those talking points in this video. I'm going to be showing you guys other more perspectives that add on to that video. And I know that I have a very strong position when it comes to veganism, right? I say it's a religion, but that's because I can base it off of what we define religion as, religare, which means to bind or hold back, or the thwart from forward progress. I see it that veganism, just as any other diet, restricts people from listening to their own body in particular. Okay, it's not just that, but it is mainly that. And I just want people to listen to their bodies and be smart, be conscious, have knowledge of what they're doing. If for any moment, even if veganism is true and holds out morally, we become unconscious and say, oh, well, it's vegan, so it must be good. Oh, it's vegan, so it must be moral. We may be excusing wrongdoing where it's taking place. And isn't that the very problem with statism? Isn't that the very problem with order following? Is doing something just because you're told to do it or because it's said to be this thing or that thing without really thinking for yourself or thinking through it or questioning what is actually natural and moral and healthy? Why is it that vegans want to look at what's moral, but they don't want to correlate that with what's natural and what's healthy? These two should validate the morality of the situation. Because if you look at morality under any other situation, it should play out true that what is moral is what is healthy and what is natural. Yet, for this, it doesn't seem to hold true. So, there must be some sort of contradiction, and perhaps that's the reason why there's so much controversy about the subject to begin with. This is going to go into looking at human species and the animal species, and seeing well, can you apply rights to animals the same way you do with humans? Okay, and even if, let's say, this is invalid, does it still hold true, veganism? Even if the morality completely applies to humans and animals equally the same, does it still hold true? Because my documentary says that's not the case. But anyways, let's look at this case of scenario. If you don't know who Murray Rothbard is, he is a natural law teacher. He goes in detail with it. He has many articles and many books about the subject. Okay, he is an anarchist. And another perspective I'm going to go into is objectivism, which was a philosophy started by Ayn Rand. So let's read from Murray Rothbard's section called The Rights of Animals. Okay. It has lately become a growing fashion to extend the concept of rights from human beings to animals and to assert that since animals have the full right of humans, it is therefore impermissible, i.e., that no man has the right to kill or eat them. There are, of course, many difficulties with this position, including arriving at some criterion which animals or living beings to include in the sphere of rights and which to leave out. There are not many theorists, for example, who would go so as far as Albert Schweitzer and deny the right of anyone to step on a cockroach. And if the theory were extended further from conscious living beings to all living beings, such as bacteria or plants, the human race would rather quickly die out. But the fundamental flaw in the theory of animal rights is more basic and far-reaching, for the assertion of human rights is not properly a simple emotive one. Individuals possess rights not because we feel that they should, but because of a rational inquiry into the nature of man and the universe. In short, man has rights because they are natural rights. They are grounded in the nature of man. Every single natural law teacher says exactly this. The individual man's capacity for conscious choice, the necessity for him to use his mind and energy to adopt goals and values, to find out about the world, to pursue his ends in order to survive and prosper, his capacity and need to communicate and interact with other human beings, and to participate in the division of labor. In short, man is a rational and social animal. No other animals or beings possess this ability to reason, to make conscious choices, to transform their environment in order to prosper, or to collaborate consciously in society and the division of labor. Notice already we're making distinctions between animals and humans, which are animals, but not like other animals. Okay? We're rational beings. We're capable of reason. You see this also common among the deists who also were teachers of natural law, and I have a whole video talking about how natural law operates, and I say it's simply reason. And that validates across every single perspective you can look at about it. Mark Passio even makes many distinctions within his works between humans and animals, saying that they're different beings, yet he applies the same rights to all of them. Thus, while natural rights, as we have been emphasizing, are absolute, there is one sense in which they are relative. They are relative to the species man. A rights ethic for mankind is precisely that, for all men, regardless of race, creed, color, or sex, but for the species man alone. The biblical story was insightful to the effect that man was given, or in natural law we may say, has dominion over all the species of the earth. Natural law is necessarily species bound. That the concept of a species ethic is part of the nature of the world may be seen, moreover, by contemplating the activities of other species in nature. It is more than a jest to point out that animals, after all, don't respect the rights of other animals. It is the condition of the world and of all natural species that they live by eating other species. Interspecies survival is a matter of tooth and claw. It would surely be absurd to say that the wolf is evil because he exists by devouring and aggressing against lambs, chickens, etc. The wolf is not an evil being who aggresses against other species. He is simply following the natural law of his own survival. Similarly, for man, it is just as absurd to say that men aggress against cows and wolves as to say that wolves aggress against sheep. If, furthermore, a wolf attacks a man and the man kills him, it would be absurd to say either that the wolf was an evil aggressor or that the wolf was being punished for his crime. And yet, such would be the implications of extending a natural rights ethic to animals. Any concept of rights, of criminality, of aggression can only apply to actions of one man or group of men against other human beings. What of the Martian problem? If we should ever discover and make contact with beings from other planets, could they be said to have the rights of human beings? It would depend on their nature. If our hypothetical Martians were like human beings, conscious, rational, able to communicate with us and participate in the division of labor, then presumably they too would possess the rights now confined to earthbound humans. But suppose, on the other hand, that the Martians also had the characteristics, the nature of the legendary vampire, and can only exist by feeding on human blood. In that case, regardless of their intelligence, the Martians would be our deadly enemy, and we could not consider that they were entitled to the rights of humanity. Deadly enemy, again, not because they were wicked aggressors, but because of the needs and requirements of their nature, which would clash ineluctably with ours. There is, in fact, rough justice in the common quip that we will recognize the rights of animals whenever they petition for them. The fact that animals can obviously not petition for their rights is part of their nature. and part of the reason why they are clearly not equivalent to and do not possess the rights of human beings. And if it be protested that babies can't petition either, the reply, of course, is that babies are future human adults, whereas animals obviously are not. So this is just one part of this 400-page book going on The Ethics of Liberty by Murray Rothbard. Okay? So this is a very good text. He has many different books. He, again, is a natural law teacher. Now what we're going to look at is the objectivist perspective on animal rights and vegetarianism, or in this case, veganism. Okay? Question: do animals have rights? What is the objectivist position on animal cruelty? What is the objectivist position on vegetarianism? Learn from all perspectives. Answer: many believe that animals have the right to be free from harm by people. In particular, they believe that animals should not be harmed in food production, clothing production, or medical research. This belief is the product of a misunderstanding of the nature of rights. Philosophers like Peter Singer argue that rights are derived from the capacity to experience pain, and since animals can experience pain just as people can, animals also have the right to be free from harm. However, rights are derived from the capacity to reason, and thus people have rights and animals do not. Both people and animals seek values such as food and shelter to sustain their lives. However, they do so by different means. Animals pursue values in their environment automatically. For example, an animal scavenges and finds food around it. People, on the other hand, use their faculties of reason to produce values volitionally. For example, a person can choose to study how plants grow and choose to plant and grow his own food. Moreover, people trade values with each other. For example, if one person grows vegetables and another person weaves clothing, the former can give the latter vegetables in exchange for clothing to their mutual benefit. People survive by producing for themselves without interference from others and by trading freely with other people. However, if others, either people or animals, use physical force against a person to stop him from producing and trading, his ability to use his reason to survive is impaired. Rights protect this ability. A right, according to Ayn Rand, is, quote, a moral principle defining and sanctioning a person's freedom of action in a social context. The rights to life, liberty, and property leave each person free to pursue his own self-interest through production and trade. Moreover, it is in a person's self-interest to respect the rights of other people so they can freely use their own facilities of reason to produce values for which he can trade. The value a person receives from other people depends on their freedom from physical force. However, the value a person receives from animals depends on their lack of freedom from physical force. While a person receives food, clothing, and medical knowledge from other people by allowing other people to freely produce these things and trade them, a person receives food, clothing, and medical knowledge through research from animals only through force. Moreover, disputes with animals cannot be resolved with discussion or the threat of legal sanction, as they can be with other people. So to prevent animals such as lions, rats, and cockroaches from attacking a person or invading his property, one's only option is to initiate force against them. This is why a person should refrain from initiating physical force against other people, but not against animals, and this is why people have rights and animals don't. The issues of gratuitous cruelty to animals and of vegetarianism are not fundamental philosophical issues. Nonetheless, objectivist principles can be extended to provide a framework in which individuals can consider these issues themselves. Legally, since people have rights and animals don't, no form of force initiated against animals should be outlawed, even if it is gratuitously cruel or if it is used to produce food that is not necessary for a person's survival. Morally, however, gratuitous cruelty should be condemned because it reinforces the immoral habit of destroying others' lives rather than promoting one's own life. Moreover, such cruelty can be the product only of gross irrationality, for it is natural for a person to empathize with another living being to the extent that the two resemble each other. How to balance the cost and benefits of health, taste, and empathy is not a philosophical issue, and thus objectivism has nothing to say about it beyond the fact that people are not morally obligated, in principle, not to eat meat. Rather, it is up to each person to balance the costs and benefits of eating meat according to the standard of his own life. Okay, and that's again where you can bring natural law in to help that standard be understood. So I just wanted to give you some snippets from those texts because I figure they're pretty insightful, and I encourage you still, if you haven't, check out my 1 hour and 30-minute scripted video on veganism. It is super interesting and it goes into everything. Thank you very much. This is Corey Mengelat. Nature is the answer.